Right folks, this part, well it's not part two, it's a separate video, but I'm going to paint up these two cars that I built in a previous video with the quick Wasteland builds. So I've primed both of these. Bit of a change of pace as well. I've primed the Maverick in grey, and the reason I've primed it in grey is because I'm pretty much out of black. So much so that I had to go back over with some matte black and a paintbrush. Line paint, so I'm pretty much out. That came out good. So the plan for this is obviously silver body, like I said from a previous video. But if you haven't watched the previous video, watch the previous video. If you have, you know what I'm talking about, but I'll go through it anyway. So we're going to go for a silver body, a silver roll cage, and then black engine, black fan pieces, and then obviously like gunmetal machine guns, maybe some gunmetal detailing on the engine, especially these big intakes on the top. So that's going to be the plan for that. And then the plan for this, I've been tossing around a few ideas. I'm still going to sponge paint both of them anyway, like I normally do, apart from obviously in the tight spaces I use a brush. So with the Maverick, I'm going to go for green, and not like an army green. So I've got, I'll lay these down because, well, you know, I'll hold them, it's easier. So I've got a moot green by Citadel, which I put all my paints in dropper bottles because I've got a rack for them, and I've got a livery green by Game Colour. Hang on one second. Sorry about that, my cat's just crying very loudly at a door that is open, and my daughter's trying to sleep, so that's always ideal. Apologise for noise in the background, it's my washing machine running. So yes, I'm going to go sponge on the dark green first, the moot green, the Citadel colour, and then very, very lightly afterwards go over the livery green to give it more of a faded look. Should come out pretty nice. If not, and it comes out quite glaring, the difference between the two colours, I may go a bit heavy on the livery green just to make it really bright. Fancy a bright car. And I've done some purple ones recently. Other colours I've got, I might as well show you everything I've got out at the moment. I've got moon dust for the headlights on the Maverick. 2 seconds, I just need to grab another colour, I've just realised. I've got Mephisto red for the tail lights with blood for the blood god over the top to make them have that glazed look. I had to grab them off the shelf. I've got matte black, any touch-ups I need to do on the black on the pile driver. Hey, remembered it. Then I've got gunmetal and shining silver. So this, the shine, I'll tell you about, talk about these bottles now, dirty the other in a minute as well. The shining silver is what I'm going to sponge on to make the chrome effect, like the shiny silver, obviously. These, I don't know, it's only these army painters, the metallics. I don't know if it's the way they are or what. It's far too much, when you squint it, look, far too much runs into the lid and it gums up the lid. Something terrible. It's only the metallics, and it's a real shame because they're really nice paints. I try and get some of the paint out of the lid as well because it's obviously, and if you look on this gunmetal, which is the same thing, paint, see it's wet on the tip. I don't know, the lid doesn't fit as tight as they would normally because the dry does it as well, to a certain extent. And if you look at the moon dust, it's fine. So yeah, so anyway, so the shining silver is going to be for the chrome. Boost some of the chrome on the Maverick as well. And I've got gunmetal for the machine guns and engine parts, etc. I've got 2 different washes, so we need 2 different washes today. I've got armour wash for the power driver over the chrome and the black, which won't make much difference to the black, but it's quite thick, the armour wash, so I might add a little bit of water. I've got some glazed medium summer as well. And then on the green, I've got a Thonian camo shade from Citadel to put on that. And then obviously for rust, I've got dry rust. Probably leave the rust off the power drive. I want it to look fairly clean and new. But obviously the Maverick, okay. 2 seconds. Sorry about that cat again, who's now on the desk, nudging the camera. Pix, can you get down please, mate? Can you get down please, Pixie? Gah! You're a right pain. Let's get my partner and baby room and nap time. Pixie. Anyway, I'll carry on. It's just a fun distraction for a second. So yeah, so that's that. So and then for the figure, flesh colour I tend to use. Where is it? I use a combo. I tend to use a combo. Today I probably won't though. I'll probably go with pallid white flesh from Citadel for the skin. The red that I use for the tail lights, Mephisto red I use for the bandana, and then all the black bits I paint black etc. Now the gloves I'll probably leave black because well, actually no, because there's a black steering wheel. See, this is the thing. You want to try and get differentiation between the two colours. So we'll use Rhinox hide for the gloves. Sorry about the cat's tail anyway. Use Rhinox hide for the gloves, and we'll dull that down, or we'll brighten up a bit with some of that pally witch flesh, whatever you want to call it. 2 seconds. Right, Pix. There we go, mate. So we'll dull that down a little, or brighten that up, sorry, a little bit to make it slightly brighter brown. That way I can keep the steering wheel black, etc. Then obviously the goggles, so I always do like a blue lens on my goggles. I tend to use Game Colour from Vallejo, Azul Electric Go, or Electric Blue. That's a really good colour. Another colour that's a decent colour is the Crystal Blue from Army Painter. But on all my other goggles I've used this Electric Blue, so that's the blue I'm going to use. And that's really it. It's only 4 or 5 colours on the driver. Doesn't need to be any more. You're not going to be able to see the straps on his boots, so the boots will just stay black, as will the trousers. Because in the previous video I had to glue him in, I'll try and get that belt with the same brown as well. I've got a couple of I might have to break out the Winsor & Newtons. Ooh. I tend to use crappy brushes on these because even on the figure, not crappy brushes because that's a lie. Like, I use the Fine Army Painter brushes that I've got, that I used for, that I tend to use for freehand line work. They're relatively inexpensive for what I need. And then I tend to do most of my painting in this Regiment Painter brush from Army Painter. And then I do my mixing and my bulk paint with this Dalla & Moni. I don't even know what size this is. Number 5, apparently. Number 5 brush. And other than that, I've got my palette set out over here. Got my kitchen roll ready. Wipe off my brush, my water pot, which is seen better days. And that's it. That's all I'm going to need. Oh, and I'm fueled for the day with some Monster, which is a rarity because I gave up Monster quite a long while ago, about a year ago. So at the point I was drinking like 4 cans a day, which is 4 or 5 cans a day, which is no good. And I've got my sponges. So my sponges are starting to look pretty crappy now. So this one's really dried out, which is perfect for rust. But so I've got this one. It's quite new. This one's nice. So this is the one I'm going to probably use the most today. So I'll do one colour on one corner. I tend to get messy doing this, it doesn't really matter. But the initial coat, when I wanted that splotchy, that's before I had the second coat, like between the washes, I want a fresh bit of sponge. And then obviously all the others. Now I've got other sponges, I'm going to start replacing out some of these sponges, but I always want to keep a Haggerty old one, like this square one here is brilliant for that because it's got really tough corners and edges. So if I wanted to get into a specific area with the sponge, I could. Now, these are the most, and I said this before in the rust painting video and the yellow paint video about these, but these are the most invaluable painting tool over the brushes. Like a detail brush is brilliant. And I know like professional level painters, and I won't do that, pro painters on eBay, but like professional painters only paint with big brushes, with fine tip, with point, with like a fair point on them. So whereas I'm using a really fine, I don't even know what size that would be, super fine, the Insane detail brush. But people who paint the same or better level, the people that paint at a better level than me would use this brush for the same level of detail that I'm trying to do, and that's purely about paint control and practice. And you only get really good at something if you do it like a lot. Sometimes you'll never get really good at it. I'm at I'd say mediocre level, but then I found cheats and ways around by using washes and dry brushing, and all washes are liquid talent as far as I'm concerned. Dry brushing, pigments, and using the sponge to apply it. So that's the way I work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the main colours on in one run. So I'll do all the silver and I'll do all the green, the base green and moot green, all at once, like one after the other, on time lapse, and then we'll come back when that's dried. Good thing about sponge paint as well, it doesn't take as long to dry as normal paint, so that increases the speed. Anyway, I've waffled enough, onto the time lapse. So put a glove on there. I've got literally two really haggard, I've turned them inside out, really haggard gloves left. Purely because the silver gets everywhere. As you saw then, I don't know if you saw it in the time lapse, I did try and show it for long enough for it to catch it. Shook up the silver, and when I shook up the silver, the lid is obviously not tight enough to the spout. It just filled the cap. Paint was leaking everywhere. So I used the paintbrush to get as much of it off as possible. I thought I'd probably too much in the palette, so I grabbed another car that I was gonna paint the chrome one anyway, which is I've already got primered. But luckily enough, it wasn't too much, and that's a good thing. So I didn't really want to paint that car silver. Just it was one of the castings that I had to one side in my little production line. So the green is already dry. That's the benefit of the sponge. The green's already dry. Silver takes a little bit longer, but I literally stopped the time lapse, put the car on the shelf, and we're back here already. So 2-3 minutes. So I'm gonna do the livery green sponge over top. I'll show you. I've actually filmed that as I do that. So you can see I've now got paint on two sides of my sponge. Hence the gloves are better and the silver comes off still. I'm going to still use the green side. Because it doesn't really matter if the silver mixes in with the green. What I tend to do though, I need to replace all my sponge today, or most of my sponge today, is I wouldn't use the same sponge on two different colours like that, but because the silver is what naturally that would be underneath, it really doesn't make much difference if I get a bit of transfer. So this green, I've not used this yet. I've had this a little while. It came in like a goblin paint mix. So I'm going to add it straight into the palette where I had the other green, which some of it's still not dry. You can see it's a lot different. It's a lot more liquid as well. And you probably saw I watered down the moot green. Yeah, I watered down the Citadel paint a little bit just to give better application. I also had to come with the paintbrush just to get into the guns and round the supercharger. So because there's two different paints there together, let's find a clean part of the palette. So that's what I was worried about, it's so liquid. Let's come in with some. So that's the sort of effect I want to go for on this. So I do lots of rusty cars. I've done a couple, like my red Big Air Bel Air, if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. And you'd have seen it in my showcase as well, if you've watched my videos on here. That's a non-dirty paint job, if that makes sense. That's all just, no rust on it at all. It's like it's just rolled out of someone's workshop or garage. So the aim with this lighter green, and this will darken up a bit once I put the camo shade wash on. The aim of this lighter green is to give it a bit of a colour gradient, as in this has been painted, it's pristine, it's been found somewhere out in the sun, and they've converted it ready to go. And see, it's very, very subtle, the difference, and what I might have to do once I put the wash on, I might have to come back with the green. But that's pretty much how I hoped it was going to come out. And right at this moment in time, it doesn't matter if I get any on the supercharger, etc. And the good thing with the sponge and it drying really quickly is you can build it up, almost like wet blending if you're painting figures. And I talk about wet blending, but I hardly ever. I paint like Warhammer scale figures and bolt action Fallout figures, so the 28mm figures. I very rarely do wet blending, but the concept's there. You see, I've got graduation of colour, which then imparts that there's texture. So that's pretty much how I'm going to keep that. Maybe a little bit more down this side here. So where I'd normally put the rust effect around the doors and on the upper surfaces more than I would on the lower surfaces, then I'd go around and do my rusty panels, because obviously that's how the panels rust. That's what I've come up with. That looks pretty decent. That'll be fine. Now on this, with silver, I want some of the black to be shown through in places. This is dry now, yeah. So what I need to do now, because this is obviously all one colour again, before I wash it, is go in and add the gunmetal to the pieces I need to. I need to then tidy up the black back on the figure and the steering column, so it's still black with a paintbrush. This is paintbrush work now. and do the machine guns. This is going to be a really quick paint job. I'll also black out the wheels again, because I use a Sharpie normally on my wheels, because I think that's a little bit easier and it's a little bit more controllable. So I'm going to black out the bits I don't want to be chrome. I'm going to gunmetal the piece I want to be gunmetal. I'm going to probably add red rocker covers on this, like I always do, irrespective, I don't care what, and sometimes I do blue rocker covers. So I'll do those bits with a paintbrush on camera with the matte black. And then this will be ready for a wash. This is then ready for a wash. And then after that's had the wash of green, I'll paint out the gunmetal parts on this, and I'll give them a really specific armour wash as well, but we'll do that in time lapse, and I'll probably talk to you before then anyway. Okay. Alright then, so as you probably saw just then, I've done all the colours I need to do before I do the washes. I also put out a bit too much chrome, again that's or gunmetal, sorry. It's a problem with those, there's a problem with those Vallejo metallics, not Vallejo, sorry, the Army Painter metallics. They also spurt out quite quickly. So at the moment the chrome colour looks a bit haggardy. So once we've given it a wash, we'll probably go over with the sponge again, do a few more bits on it. And the gunmetal cage is very similar in colour. You can see that the engine stands out quite well at the moment. Once I've added some red rocker covers, then that will stand out a bit more. Black grille, done the exhaust in gunmetal, painted these vents in black, so kept everything black so far. Last thing to do on this is the crewman, the driver, which I'll do last after the washes, and I've done all the other details and let them dry. Then on the Maverick, I've got pretty much everything on apart from the headlights, so all the colours are on. And obviously the wheels. I've done black skirts on the bottom and a black lower valance on the rear and the front, chrome bumper and grille on the front, chrome rear valancy, whatever you call that insert. Yeah, looks like a normal car, it's quite cool, I quite like that. It's come out quite nice so far. So that's still going to get a green wash. I'm going to try and avoid the metal parts, but if I get a bit of wash on there, it doesn't really make much difference. It just adds to the tone of it. And I'm going to do an armour wash on the silver car. Also found another glove. Yay! So I've got 2 gloves now, so that's handy to get chrome's right paint to get off my hands. So I'm going to do the washes now. They take very little time, so I'm not going to do it in time lapse. I'll do it right here as I do it. So I was saying before, let's find a clean bit. Let's sort of sponge it out. Here's my palette, could do with a clean. No, I don't care. So this armour wash is Secret Weapon armour wash. It's quite thick. You have a look at it. It's quite dark, should I say, not quite thick. Even see there that thin amount. It's very dark. It's design. That's pretty much by design. Where is it? Glaze media, wash mixing media. So I've got some Army Painter wash mixing medium. I'm not sure how this is going to work. It comes out cloudy, I know that. So that's made that. Can't really see much difference, but we'll give it a go, we'll see what happens. So I've got loads on my brush where I started. Just going to go along. It's possibly all I'm going to need. Or here on this one side, we shall see. Because I'm going to probably have to go back over with a sponge on the chrome. Getting the chrome shiny is a couple of passes. At the moment, this armour wash just makes it look greasy, which is cool So like we said before, even on the chrome I want a bit of depth into it. I'm just hammering it on. It's the Wasteland. You can be as rough as you like. With these I always try and get a bit into the end of the gun barrels as well. They're going to be the dirtiest bits. Bit of the engine as well, so okay. Just remember as well with washes, I'm just wiping this on a bit of kitchen roll or a bit of water on it out of view to just clean the brush as I go. You can take some off, so you see how dirty that's made that already. It's pretty cool, so I'm going to leave that to dry. That's that one wash done. Got a little bit left, which is cool because what I can do with that, it dries really quick, is I can... Remember, if you get bubbles on this mesh, pop them, or when it dries, especially with paint, not necessarily washes. I've got a bit too much water on this brush. With paint, it ends up filling in the mesh. It looks a bit gash, but so there's ways around it. So let's have a bit of unwash to there. Now I'm still on camera as well. Yeah, I do apologise if I go out of camera when I'm on time-lapse mode. Let's say because it's an iPhone and it's on a an arm. I forget about it when I'm doing stuff. I get into it and I'm like, ah, crap. Gone out of the screen. Right, so that Thanian camera shade. I'll do like Citadel. So it's a green, almost black wash. Again. Bring it down a little bit. Another thing I've done with washes before as well, which is quite cool and quite easy to do, is I've used washes with a sponge. So I've applied washes with a brush. I put far too much wash in there, by the way. But so sometimes that's the thing with dropper bottles. Don't realise your own strength. You squeeze an absolute ton out, which is pretty wasteful, and I don't like waste if I'm honest. But it's done now, so you can't do anything about it, unfortunately. So yeah, so. If you use a sponge on a wash, so you put a wash on, I'll do it on here quick to show you what I mean. Just get that all in the bits I need to in. So I think we're on all the green bits. We'll do around the front as well. The bonnet edge has got like a panel line there. Be nice to get some in there. It's just trying to add some definition, some shade. So with a sponge, for example, and a wash, I've only got a piece of crappy sponge here. If you do this, I've imparted texture again on it just by removing some. And then because I've got lighter areas there, comes off. Same as like where this is sitting here. And this is, I'm not trying to teach people how to suck eggs, by the way. You can wick it away with a slightly damp paintbrush. And here I've got a load, which is handy because I need a bit around here. And you're probably building a car fully before you start painting it, is that my fingers keep on touching the edges of wheel arches and the wash is wicking away. So there you go, that's the green wash on as well. Do the bottom of the doors where I've got like a grey bit showing. If I go along there with a wash, I can hide my crimes then. You ain't gonna see it. Wicked, 2 washes on. Right, I'll come back when that's dry, it won't be very long, it's quite warm today. And I'm in a conservatory, which makes it even more warm. And then we'll talk about what else we've got to do, which isn't a vast amount, apart from obviously another coat of silver. What I might do is I just jump straight into time lapse and me put another coat of silver on the pile driver. And then really the last things are a few tidies up, some details, the wheels, and obviously the crewman, which we'll do a separate time lapse on. Alright then, we're back. So everything's had plenty of time to dry. In fact, most of the day to dry. So last time I sold me putting the headlight details on. I've also done the spotlights on here off camera because I forgot. The rocket covers and the tail lights. Last thing I do on the tail lights on both of these is this Citadel technical paint, Blood God. So So I use that on tail lights. It's like a glaze, so it looks more like glass over red. You can do it over just over straight silver. You don't need a vast amount, even though I've squeezed out about 90 times too much. But I'm off the screen again because I'm an idiot. Sorry about that. While I'm doing this, we'll just talk quick. So yeah, the aim, I'm going to fill in that middle bit there as well. There we go. So the aim with the channel going forward is to try and get out, I said this before, I'll try and get out at least one video a week. This will be the second one this weekend. Put a video out, this is Sunday by the way. Put a video out yesterday, which was Saturday, which was the build of these. Or was it Friday? Let's see, all the days roll into one. I think it was yesterday I did this, the build, pretty sure. And obviously I'm furloughed at the moment from work, but I should be going to work in either the next week or so. So the aim will be to do a video on a Saturday, get it up. And if I do a two-part video, do the video on the Saturday or the Sunday and get it up. One or the other. I may in the week do like unboxing videos and stuff. But my unboxing videos tend to run quite long. You can see there with the red underneath and then the blood for the buckle glaze on the top. It adds like a light effect. I do that on my non-Gaslands customs as well. Just because it's a good little effect. Good over silver, good over red as well. They do a couple of technical paints like that, which are quite nice. So other things to do then. So on the Maverick, so I'm looking for an appropriate Sharpie. There we go. I've got this battered old silver Sharpie, and what I tend to do with the battered old silver Sharpie is because it is battered, it's not as shiny silver, and it's really inconsistent. So depending where I've got what angle I've got it at, depends on the level of silver that comes out. You see that's quite rough and inconsistent. So a lot of the wheels I like to do using the silver Sharpie. Let's do these spokes as well. So instantly that's got a worn look to it because it is inconsistent. So I'm reading this up now, I can't speak properly. Probably quite tired. And my cat's crying again. As you can probably tell, my hobby time's limited to when my daughters are, or especially the videoing time, limited when my daughter's having a nap. So my daughter's now having a nap, which means my cat is now going berserk, even though it can easily go upstairs. Pixie! Pix! Come here. I've got two cats. One's an idiot, and that's the other one. So I've noticed on here that when I've gone back over the chrome, I've got some chrome on the wheels, so I'm going to have to black that out. Could go through the whole route of getting some black paint out again, but in the interest of this build and expediting speed, make myself size sometimes, I'll tell you. I'll just use this black permanent marker, which then is another tone on the wheels. It doesn't look too bad. This is, we're talking about trying to, you can get a car built and painted a lot quicker than I've done. This is just my version of a quick build and paint. Like I could, if I didn't have to talk about it and I didn't muck around with the camera and talk myself through every step, I did it by time lapse. It'd probably take about half the time, but then that's the whole point of making videos, isn't it? Did it like that, I won't make videos. So got a lot of silver on this already, so I'm thinking I'm going to probably leave the wheels black on this. I don't tend to do that, but the black, I've got a couple of little flecks of silver here and there on them. I quite like it with black wheels, so that's pretty much done. So last things to do on the Maverick is just some weathering. So with some weathering powders, Tamiya weathering master powders I use on this, and that's done. You can see where the green wash has gone into some of the dips, like I said it would, obviously. Yeah, it looks fairly clean. Weathering master, pass over with an oil stain, pass over with a light rust, pass over with a dark rust, just to change the colour on the panels. And then over the guns with like a burnt blue. So that'll be done. So that's one side for a second. We don't need half these colours I've got out now either. So the only things I really need now for this is the flesh, the blue for the goggles, the brown. Let's move all these out of the way. I'll leave them out still because I might need them. Red for the bandana and a flesh wash. So I'm going to use, where is it? No, I don't want that one. I want right on the flesh shade. And a Citadel flesh wash to the face. So I'm going to go really, really white, yeah, to paint the face and the arms because he's topless. Let's see if I can get that focused. Yeah, he's topless. It's hard to see in black, but he's topless. So it's going to be an area, quite a big area of flesh. So I'm going to go flesh on first and tidy it up with black. The red bandana, tidy that up with the flesh colour. I go over lines, then the brown, tidy that up with black or flesh, depending where I go. Trousers are going to stay the colour they are. I try and get that belt in brown just to break up the black. Now, obviously, when I use this is a North Star figure, if you remember from the build video, if you watched the build video. So they do the metal and the plastic. With the plastic ones, the plastic figures, the driver's figures got moulded in shoulder straps, like race car harnesses. So I always do them red as well because they don't have bandanas. For these guys, they have the bandanas, so I'm going to do the bandanas red. It just breaks it up. Yeah, it's the same red as the valve covers, but to be honest, once I put a brown wash over it, it will change the colour slightly anyway. So I'm going to jump back to time lapse. This is an ugly looking car though. The paint job suits it though, I think it came out pretty nice. Especially it's not consistently one colour. Now this the iPhone and the light I've got in here as well, it's a bit of a hard one to tell. Once I've got it on the rotisserie, spinning around, we'll have a look at it, and then I'll take some stills anyway for the cover of the video. So yeah, so we'll do that next. So I'm gonna go to time lapse and I'm gonna paint this figure. It might be in a couple of little breaks because I'm gonna have to wait for like the flesh to dry before I can go on to the next colour, etc. As it'll get mucky. And I'm not sure I'm gonna do this on time lapse or capture it because I hold my stuff really close, so I might have to reposition this camera. So I'll speak to you folks again in a second. Alright, so I've added this piece in here because we're going to chop and change a bit now. So I'm going to weather the Maverick. I've just painted the flesh colour on the Warboy in the pile driver. So I'm going to weather the Maverick. So like before in some other videos, I've got these well weathered, pun intended, Tamiya Weather Masters. So the colours I'm going to use are the oil stain and the burnt blue from here. I'm going to use a little bit of the gunmetal and the orange rust from this one, and then I'm going to use some of the dark rust, or old rust as I call it, from this one. So areas I'm going to concentrate on with the rust are obviously top of the door frame, the mesh, this part here. I'm not going to rust it in all the places. I'm not going to do the arches because I think they're meant to be plastic. I don't know, to be honest. I'll just try and maybe a little bit on the roof just to break it up. And then I'm going to go over the whole thing with an oil, the oil stain rust effect. That's the way I do it. It tends to work for me that way, so that's why I do it. I also pass a little bit of rust over the machine guns as well. So I've said before, maybe you haven't watched my videos before about rusting and stuff and whatever, and all any of the painted ones. The one letdown for these Tamiya stuff is if you hit any sharp edge, you bust the sponges right up. The brush bit's really good though, what it is. Make quite a fairly good, easy, short dry brush. So I've just got these cheap Boots makeup sponges, which do the same thing as well. As soon as you hit a sharp edge, especially anything I've painted rivets on, it just tears the sponges up. And that's just, it's not the sponge's fault, it's just part of the course. So with this, I'm not necessarily making any one area rusty. I'm using my finger a bit as well. I'm just adding tone and dirt. Because obviously before, remember, if you watched the build video, if you haven't, watch it. It's as simple as that, really. I'm adding, I whacked around a sort of file a little bit. So it's made the surface rough. The sponge painting also makes the surface rough. So a little pass over with some dirt. That's all I'm really using the rust powder for. The rust effect for is some dirt. Try and avoid the lights. A little bit on the underside of the spoiler, and then on the black surfaces, they're never going to be pure black, not out in the dirty wasteland anyway. Good thing about these, because they're oil based, I've said that before as well, but I'll repeat myself just in case you haven't seen the other videos. Yeah, as you can get them off of your finger afterwards as well. Okay, so that's dirtied that up slightly with the black. Now the white, I've used the white before to make it look like, you know, if you especially if you've got a dented panel on your car and you've clipped something that's white, it clips anything, it tends to leave like a white streak. So you can do it with the white. This sponge is a bit crappy, but it'll be all right. You can take the white, can you see that? Yeah, you can. Just add a little bit. Just about variation, bring it up. If you go too much, it looks crap. If you don't do any, it just looks off. I'm still holding on to this sponge for the orange. You can tell I use this orange rust a lot. It's a really good little orange rust. So I always do my mesh with it as well, which is what cuts the sponge up a bit. In the process of doing the mesh, you invariably get around the window frames, which is, I think, if you were going to bang on some mesh onto your car, weld it on in a Mad Max style, that's where you're going to get rust anyway, because these people aren't really going to seal their work afterwards. Wasteland mechanics, I mean, that's how I think about when I do some of my cars. Some of them will want to be pristine, like I've done pristine mesh before, like it's brand new. I want this to look a little bit beaten up. So I'm using the rust, really not as rust, I'm using the rust as dirt. There we go. And because the wheels are fairly weathered looking already, I don't really need to do anything on the wheels for that. So the last two colours we got is the oil stain and the burnt blue. Excuse me. So I'm going to do oil stain over the gun and the supercharger. I also need to come back in with black and just do the belt on the charger, because that's going to annoy me otherwise. Oil stain on the exhaust, and then got a little bit of oil stain on here. I use the side of the sponge because it's got more area to it. So this isn't as bright as I started off. This is more of a grass green now. You've got the faded patches, got the darkened out patches. If I had rockets, what I tend to do behind rockets is do long straight lines as if they've been fired. Around the machine guns, if you look at any pictures of any old like World War II fighter planes where they've got the whip machine guns, the area around where the machine gun is always haggard up because of that. I'm just going to pass it over the wheels as well. Just add a bit more, and across the bumper, leaving the lights. I'm trying to keep the lights nice and clean. The back bumper. And see how those rear lights have dried? Almost like they're glazed, it being a form of glaze. Now with the burnt blue, you don't need a vast amount of this. It looks really good on flamethrowers as well. You're making you're aiming to make it look like this as well. It's a bit too blue. That adds to the comedy effect of it, if that makes sense. Not comedy, but the look of it. So weathering wise, we're sort of there. I'm just going to get a tiny amount of black paint and just do that fan belt. It's not a fan belt, but supercharger belt. So I'm going to cheat as well. And just squeeze it up onto my brush rather than waste a load on my palette. Can't see that because I'm off the camera. It's tiny as hell, but it will bug me otherwise, so. There we go. Now you notice that the interior is still grey, blacky grey. It doesn't. You could go through the rigmarole trying to do the interior. I'm not going to. For me, that's no. What I've done there. Got that. This is the thing about these Army Painter paints with their crappy lids. You're not looking what you're doing like I just did then. What you have to do is might be alright. Other thing about those Weathering Masters is water. So that was a great example actually. If I put water on it, can you see it's moved it around? So if you want to do a more dirty thing, mix a couple of colours together, that's how you can do it. In fact, let's adapt to a bad situation. So yeah, you have to be careful because like that's come off the lid or something. Yeah, it's the lid. So I think it's just their non-standard colours do that. It's a bit worrying. That's a bit of a shitty design flaw. And I've got Army Painter bottles as well for some of my Citadel paints repackaging poured into Army Painter bottles. That's annoying. I'll put it inside out so none of the black's against my hand. So yeah, so that's another good thing about that is and painting like this is that I was able to get that black off with some water, and it added to the effect as well. So rectified a bad situation. Now, what I could do now, if we really want to finish stuff, is add some numbers or some skulls or some decals. So I'm going to get onto the figure again in a minute. While I'm doing that, I think whether I'm going to add anything else to it, or I might just leave it as it is because it's quite a nice little car ready for the tabletop. Cool. There you go then folks, that's these two cars done. This Maverick, I'm going to be calling Kermit from now on. I had a little Kermit the Frog head decal on the tailgate there. It's wonky, more by accident rather than design, but that's the aesthetic. Nice little simple build, nice little simple paint job in the grand scheme of things. No rust really, a little bit of rust and dirt and stuff on it, but no massive rust. Like I say, nice little easy build, came out really nice. Yeah, not much else to say on that, quite like that one. And then obviously we've got the pile driver, which weighs a lot more because the whole base is metal. But yeah, that came out really good as well. Driver came out really good. I'm not even going to attempt to do eyes on that, so he's got like a lot of shading around his eyes. Red bandana came out. The goggles, I couldn't get close enough with the camera overhead, so I had to turn the time lapse off when I did the straps of the goggles, which just causing me no end of problems. But other than that, came out really good. If I do say so myself. Bit of a weird, unique car. I've not seen too many builds of this car. I didn't see this car until it popped up on Facebook for £1 the other day. Picked it up. Did it come in a big bundle? I can't remember if I'm honest. But yeah, not seen one before. A few mods. Added some the same blue as the goggles to those little pod things on the pillars, like on the roll cage, to make it look like instrument clusters, because obviously there's none on the dash. Done, dusted. Again, really happy with this. Nice little quick build and general scheme of things. Don't do a lot of silver cars, don't do a lot of coloured cars. Most of my cars are rusty or black or versions of that. So yeah, that's it from me. Next video will be one that I'm working on at the moment, which I've already built and I've already filmed. It's just going to be a build and paint all together, so it should be around about the same length, but this is paint only. It's only one vehicle, and it's a lot more time lapse on it. The build was all time lapse, 20 minutes of the build in time lapse, and then the rest will be the paint. So that should be quite good. And then after that, I'll probably do a couple of terrain videos or a terrain video. I've got 3-4 unboxings in the pipeline, just waiting for stuff to turn up, including some crazy stuff that has come from abroad. Yeah, super excited about some of the stuff that's coming up and some of the videos I'll be doing. So yeah, so I look forward to doing those. Hope everyone's having a good day, and I'll see everyone next time. Cheers.